Oh. Yeah, we have audio. Oh. Yeah, we have audio.
There we go. I hear it.
Oh.
All right, we're good.
Sorry, minor issue of turning it on.
Yeah.
But we're there now.
That's how it goes. All right, I'm going to share my screen real quick, and I'm going to actually do something that we haven't done that we probably should have done on the very first one of these. And that, my friend, is show you this.
I gotta do a real quick shout out as you begin this.
Yeah.
So we got Zoom, and I'm streaming Zoom of our call to the stream, and Zoom still has some of the best layout features. And if you look at the stream right now, it's kind of cool because we have our faces organized to the right, so we can still see each other as we talk to each other and talk to everyone else on the stream. We have your desktop and showing the Killrvideo videos right now to the left. And then I can simply click on the options, which now I can't get to. There we go. And it'll show you or me. It switches back and forth the display of persons. And it's just nice to have all that stuff handy in an organized way on the screen to be able to show others.
Yeah.
And Zoom, even in spite of their little speed bump recently in the security realm, is a pretty solid, representatively, it's a solid display and platform. It's pretty good. But anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out. It's cool. I'm glad that it works out like that after having fought with multiple video chat options. So yeah, tell us about cute dogs and cats that are the funniest thing in the world.
Right. So we never actually showed the full working online, you can navigate to it right now, version of Killrvideo. This right here is me logged into my Killrvideo account. I don't have any videos submitted by myself, and I haven't really watched any, so they're no recommended. Mainly because I build this myself when I'm going to use it, so I'm never actually using the official one. But it is fully here. It's fully working, ready to go. Yeah, so that's that. Now for the good stuff. If we go back, this is the one that's in my development environment. It has no videos in it, so it's just gonna say loading for forever.
Right.
It's
just a little animated GIF.
Basically, yeah. And even in a slight point release I did on it, I put, I think it was these are not the videos you're looking for, or something would pop up after 10 or 12 seconds if you didn't have any videos, or one of those kind of little things.
Yeah.
Now, so back over to here. This is our, where is it here? Oh, I was in the right one. Perfect. All right. So this is the project we're working on. Now, what we can see here, if my IDE wants to cooperate and not freeze on me. All right, it's thinking. Thinking about thinking.
You got to do it sometimes. You just have to think about thinking.
Yep. Come on. You can do it. I am this close to getting a new Mac. I'm at my 3-year mark where this one has been used and abused. All right, 488.
Are you happy with the Mac situation at the moment?
I really want to wait till 2020.
Yeah? What's happening then?
The butterfly keys are going away.
Oh. Yeah, that's one of my biggest cruxes right now with using the Mac, which is why I don't use a Mac right now.
Not in the thermal problems with Mac are probably number one, but yeah, the keys are number 2 on my list.
Yeah, my XPS isn't that much friendlier when it comes to the heat. It's not exactly a laptop. If you want safety for yourself, you put it on a desk and you keep that heat thing away from you. But
it's like my gaming computer. It's a foldable desktop, is what it is.
yeah, exactly. Same boat. I am looking forward to Mac having usable keyboards again because I do have a Mac. It's the 5-year-old 2015 or 2014 model Mac that I use to basically, I use mine for music software, and then I use the work one for various work things that need to be on the work laptop. Everything else is on Linux. Everything.
Right.
And mechanical keyboards.
Okay, so this last one right here is what we're actively developing against. So we started with this guy,
right?
And this is where we are. So obviously the CSS is a little wonk. There's some stuff there, but that's secondary really to what we're troubleshooting at the moment.
When you say we started with, and
yes.
we're with now.
So from a source code perspective,
right?
When I first sat down on this project and said, I'm going to refactor something.
Right.
This, what you see right here on the screen, was what I had. That was what I sat down to.
Okay, so you're showing us localhost 3000.
Right.
So you have the
now,
old
localhost
version.
8080 is the current development build.
Gotcha. Okay, so you have two instances running on your machine.
Yep, correct. And I had to do a little bit of fiddling to get that to work, but I was getting tired of having to remember to kill the 3000 port one.
Yeah.
To get things to work. So that's kind of where that came from.
I see you also have Killrvideo.com up there, though.
Right, which this is the actual hosted website. This is, you can browse to it right now. Right.
Anybody.
It's not
anybody.
Not
anybody.
Just me. Right. And interact with it, create an account, log in, submit a video, whatever you want to do. That's in the end. Our work here will be hosted on the website and on the GitHub, so you can play with it yourself. And that will be everywhere. And this old one will hopefully go to a graveyard. Not that it's not great. We love you, served us well, but tool shed
to the graveyard you go.
Yeah.
It's very metal.
Getting a little outdated. So, all right, now to pick up kind of where we left off last time, like 3 months ago. Goodness, we got to get better at that. We had just achieved a successful GraphQL query against some static data, and that was done using basically the new middle layer that we've been building out. Now, the thing we had previous, we had a whole bunch of hard-coded values, and we just made a bunch of that dynamic. And that was JRPC work we did to make things connect, build, so that we can then do this. And now we actually have to utilize that JRPC connection that we established last time to now query data, get some relevant data back that we can now query to the UI. And hopefully, I think it's optimistic, but if we can do it, it would be amazing in this hour, would be to get our test button right there, like test 1, test 2 at the top, you'll see. Those are my preloaded test queries, basically. If we can get one of those to click a button and pull some data all the way from the back end, DSE install, that's a successful day. Make sense?
So you think we can do that right now?
I think it's optimistic, but hey, gotta be optimistic.
So you got a lot of screens going there.
Yep, I do, and that is not good. Unhandled error. Service. Where? That should still work. We should test the UI. This is my GraphQL playground, by the way.
Your GraphQL what? Oh, playground.
Playground. Gotcha. And I always have to remember how to write a GraphQL query. There's a syntax to it, and it's always confusing to me.
So if you this runs against the DSE install?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so I think this should be, yep, that's a valid query. Perfect.
So if we run the query here, then we should be able to run the duplicative query via the app, and the app should get a result.
So here's the thing. It runs against the DSE install, but we don't have any, there's one piece of wiring missing. So that's the piece of wiring we're fixing.
Okay.
Today. But yes, in theory, you are totally correct. I should be able to go to this UI and say, here, let's register a user. Let's do that. That's a pretty good use case. Let me do Bobberson, with email address bob@bobland.com. Password is going to be bob. And we're going to register. Oops. Apparently I can't type. Bob. Man, having a bit of not fine service management in SCD. Okay, that's good error to know because this is the back end or the middle layer that we hacked on, and that actually makes perfect sense given what I just remembered. We completely took a meat cleaver to that portion because literally what this Killrvideo old UI is doing is it went and it took that request when I hit submit there or register there.
Right.
It took that request and it used Felcore, which is the old I think was it Netflix?
Is that what it is? I don't remember.
Yeah, one of them developed. So there were two kind of competing methodologies of doing these like super distributed REST API type queries.
Yeah.
One of them was Felcore and one of them was GraphQL. And GraphQL very much won that war, right? No one's using Felcore. Everyone wants to be a GraphQL engineer because they make a lot of money. So that's kind of the way that hashed out. Now, Killrvideo was using Felcore. Mm-hmm. So given the fact that it's a reference application, we wanted to update that to use something kind of relevant to the modern day, something you'd actually want to reference in your application. So what happens here when I click register is it creates a Felcore query and it goes out and looks for the server. Now that server actually does exist, however, it is not the same. So that server all the way, if I go, oh, no, I was on it. Too many windows. Okay, there we go. That server is this. Now, this is our microservice server. There's no Felcore in here. The only Felcore code you will find is some stuff that I haven't converted to GraphQL yet, but is non-functional code. It doesn't have the wiring on either end to make it work. This is the GraphQL engine that needs to be around for that query to go through. So what we have here is we have, oh goodness, there. Yeah, okay. I know what it's complaining about. That's because I'm clicking buttons and it's going, things aren't fully wired. That's fine, we knew that. So what we have here, none of the queries here will work, and that's simply because Felcore doesn't exist. What we need to do is we basically need to make that query work using the GraphQL. So if I hit register, I go in, and obviously, again, this looks different. I do Bob. I'm just going to do some quick Bob. I hit register, nothing's going to happen. Even if I type in a valid something over 3 characters, nothing's going to happen. And we'll even see down here in our console, it's going to start complaining about all sorts of things because none of this is working right. Passwords don't match. Yeah, that's fine. Bob. Okay, try to do a submit to something there. Or actually, this is registration form. I'm throwing back. When you have React, you have your state object. And I'm basically, I have a console log with what I'm changing on my state object that it's just spitting it out when we hit that place. So this is just debug code, showing us that we clicked a button and something was sent somewhere. And this is literally where it stops, is printing it out in the console. So, okay, back over here. All right, so last time we were messing with the gRPC client. We got this to compile finally. So this was from that Node 6 to Node 10 move that we did. It broke all of the gRPC.
Wait, aren't they on 12 now?
Probably.
Shouldn't we go ahead and upgrade to 12?
Oh, don't even start. Don't even start. The amount of headache that, not going there.
So we 10's still LTS, long-term support, so that should be good.
And honestly, once we're at 10, it's going to be a lot easier, I think, to go to 12 than it was from 6 to 10.
Yeah.
My understanding of it, at least. If anyone else out there has done something like that, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, theoretically, it should be like something we could do in less than an hour-long session. Once we get this working.
Yes, I would strongly hope.
Crossing all the fingers.
So right now what we have We have a whole bunch of commented out code that was from our testing yesterday. We literally got it to compile, and they were like, "Okay, end of stream," because that was like the last minute we got it to work. So all this here is basically stuff we don't really need. Kind of the gRPC client code here was over-engineered. It had a whole lot more in it than what you needed to actually make this app work and work correctly and work well. It looks like my screen just kind of went away on Twitch. Okay, we're good.
It should be fine. It goes into weird refresh every once in a while.
Oh, gotcha.
Like we're just spinny circles. It's because, well, actually I don't know why. Yours should keep playing.
Okay.
But since I have like this video chat and the stream coming in, sometimes the little monitoring one dies on itself.
Fair enough. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to make this right here. This is the GraphQL engine, right? We have to make that talk to DSE now. Because we have our static data, and I think I showed this last time. We have our static data. I have it open here. Let me find it. See, there's a Velcro router. That's old code. There it is. Test data.js. All test data. Not relevant to anything that we are actually doing. Just simply something so I can get a console log when I run a query to the GraphQL server. Okay. So, gPC service. I had index.js. So this get service client async was part of what we had broke last time.
Yeah.
What we can see if we go in there, that goes into factory.js, service client async, and get gRPC client async. So we went in there, boom, and that's what we fixed. So that's where we are. That's all caught up. Now we need to actually figure out how to take this portion and wire it up to the backend. So, trying to get reacquainted here with everything we've got. Our Cassandra.js is where a lot of this is actually going to take place. So, when we do our etcd querying of services, getting back Venn points, there's the, where's it here? Yeah, look up service async. There it is. We have a service named Cassandra. So we go out, we grab that, we get the endpoints for it, and then we, where's it here? Contact points, query options, prepare. All right, and there's all of our drivers set up. So we're setting our consistency level, we're setting our contact points. Contact points, I forget where we put them. I believe that is what we actually generated off of lookup service. Contact points, yeah, there we go. Contact points. So yeah, it's going through and it's generating our connection from the driver. Then we're going here. Okay, check for both Killrvideo DSE username and DSE password in environment. Now, this is where my knowledge of how this actually works starts to end, and our exploration here needs to begin. So, just picking through this, I'll try to say what I think this is doing, and if I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. Sound good?
Sure.
All right. So we got our username password check, doing the length check. So this is going to be the actual database password. In a open source Cassandra install, that's going to be Cassandra when you do your install. I believe we change it, and I can't remember what we changed it to in the Killrvideo. It's in a file in the repository. We could look it up, but not super important for us at the moment. All we care about is that this is actually happening. And since we would see an error here if it wasn't, in theory, we're good. In theory. Sorry for the background noise. Can you hear the little kid?
Oh, I don't hear anything.
Distraught. Okay, good. I've got a crying kid in the background. All right, so we got our auth provider, plain text. Don't use plain text. Facebook did this. Don't do it. But for this app, I mean, fine.
It's an example, not production.
Yes, it's an example. This particular piece is not production. Exactly. Okay, so logger, that's not really super important. All right, create client. So there we're actually creating this. We're going to do our connect async. So our async connections here, which makes sense in Node.js. If you're using Java driver, you can use blocking stuff. You have to specify a whole bunch of async. Node.js is honestly, I mean, it's Node.js, use async, you know? Okay, so we've got our catch, client promises, all that, good. Pretty straightforward block of code. There shouldn't be really anything we need to touch there, but that's going to be the establishment of our actual connection. So the get Cassandra client async. Now, interestingly, one thing we might want to do, and we will have to do that. That is the only file that this appears in. So what that means is we are probably not actually calling this anywhere, which is a problem because we're initializing our web server, we're starting up our GraphQL engine, we're doing all that, and we're probably never actually establishing a connection to our DSE. So that's problem number one, right? We'll kind of move on and then jump back to it. Okay, so function create key space if not exists. This is actually really important. This keeps your app running, so you're not going to get all sorts of really terrible looking errors if you forgot to do your database schema configuration.
Right.
Basically, it's the backup in case you didn't. And then, of course, export function init Cassandra async, which actually, you know what, I totally said something wrong earlier. This is actually the one that we need to call somewhere else. It's unused. We can tell it's unused. That's the problem. So from there, we need to figure out where we need to call this. Now, my guess is that we need to do something in this file, but unfortunately, this is starting to get beyond my just head knowledge here. So unless you have a quick, oh yeah, this is what it is sort of statement, what I propose we do is we're going to go into some Visual Studio Code here. And I'm going to open up the original repository so we can kind of pick it apart a little bit. So as soon as my incredibly slow Mac decides it's going to open and complete its opening, and we're almost, okay, I think and we are going to search init Cassandra async. And we're going to find every place where that is. And sure enough, just like I said, index.js, we have this very nice import statement. Import from utils Cassandra. Now, our path here is going to be different, but I'm actually going to copy this statement. And this is, again, where I've got way too many windows. And I am going to, oops, forgot to put a new line, drop a line, and throw that there. Okay, now our utils is not quite correct. Utils Cassandra. Actually, that might be the correct path. Unused import. That is actually the correct path. That's like the first time in this entire project that's happened where my path is lined up exactly with the original. All right, now let's see how they're using it. So what's happening here, and this is, again, the original project, that second one I showed you, or the first one I showed you, are built on this. What we have here is starting the server, we're doing all of our initialization, and then we do our init of the key space. Now this is done, let's see, start promise. This is all done with promises, and that's not how we're set up on the new stuff. We're set up kind of a little less, I almost want to say functional programming-ish, because I mean, if you look at this, it feels very functional programming. And I actually talked to the guy who built the original one, and that was kind of what he was trying to do, was he was trying to experiment with functional programming concepts inside of Node.js.
Right.
We've kind of departed from that just because there wasn't necessarily a good reason to, given what we were doing, and it was making some of the engineering a little bit overcomplicated, which, I mean, we can have that discussion if someone really needs to, but for now,
yeah, we should have that discussion sometime, but
yeah, probably not right now.
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah. So okay, moving along here. Where was I? Init Cassandra client async. Okay, there we go. All right. So somewhere in our index JS right here. Okay, so we're in here, and this has to do with Apollo server. We have to initialize our Cassandra instance. Now, what I believe we can do, if memory serves, I believe I can just call this Cassandra and can specify new init client async, and this will probably not work all the way. This is like half wiring something, right? But we're going to test it, right? We're trying to see what breaks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go kill this process, let that stop. Give it a second here because, again, my Mac is fairly slow and takes a minute to spin things down. Then, I gotta remember, on this particular project, I just want to check my scripts real quick. I am actually going to do a clean, real quick. Just because I do kind of want to start fresh. It's been a while since I've done that, and given the fact we're kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, I feel like it would be a good idea. All right, I'm going to do a build. And what this is doing is this is taking my ES6 code, and it's taking actually a Babel taking a Babel RC file, which you can actually see over here, and it's turning it into something that a browser, something that JavaScript standards accept, because we're using ES6 pre-ES6 acceptance, I guess.
Right.
So that's, what do you call that? Like transpiling or something? Like it's.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay. Now we're going to run our, I believe, dev. Yep, dev. And in about 2 seconds, if we did it right. Yes, we actually got errors. This is a good thing, because we expected it wouldn't work on the first try, but these errors should be relevant. So let's go up to the top here.
Should be.
Should be. Yep, that's always the, okay.
Just so, air quoting it for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. As Cassandra types. So there's something here in Cassandra.js. Okay.
Wait, what is that? What does that actually say?
Is it big enough? Do I need to expand it a little bit?
Well, no. Like, so I see where it stopped on line 3 there, but where is the actual message? So it says it just says syntax error.
Right. Syntax error, unexpected token, expected comma. So the as keyword here, which is right up here.
But it doesn't. The comma isn't the thing, right?
Right.
There's supposed to be something there.
Why are they using? Okay, we should be using an import statement here anyway. Actually, all of these should be import statements.
Why?
Because that's so ES6 proper ES6 stuff. There's an import. And in the source, it looks just like this. Mm-hmm. And that would allow us, I'm actually just going to copy paste and modify, because.
So why aren't we using that? Why is that other stuff in there?
That's one of the things we're updating.
Okay.
So client from DSC driver, come on. Yeah. DSC driver. Now DSC driver is a package we have included. At least I believe we've included it. We'll have to check the package JSON file in just a second here. So import client, and we're going to do auth. And we're not necessarily going to do this as Cassandra types, I don't believe, if memory serves. But for now, I'm not going to get rid of this line. I'm just going to comment it out, because I may need to reference it in a second here. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to check and see if we have our DSC, which it does not look like we do. Oh, so terrible. Yep, looks like we don't. Okay, so that means we need to do the lovely npm.
Quick interruption. What's your Twitter handle again?
That's a good question. I think it's just Eric Zietlow, ERICZIETLOW. Should be one word.
Oh, you actually have your first name in there? Oh, you do.
I do.
Didn't you have something like 3C3PO or something before, like some cryptic thing?
I had a Mando222 handle way back in the day. I don't even know if that one's still active.
Oh, okay.
For
I got you.
A million years, yeah. So we're gonna do --save. Oops, not save. Save. And we're gonna do, what was it? DSC driver. All right. And now we're going to go out, and basically what this is going to do is this is going to pull the DSE driver. So the packages that are out for Node, if all goes well, it's going to save that to our package JSON file. So actually in here, in just a minute, once it's done its thing, we should see the DSE driver install, and then that import statement. There we go. There's that. And I'll click here. It'll take it a second to reindex, generally at least. Maybe more than a second. Okay, I might have to add that manually in a minute. It doesn't automatically. Generally, IntelliJ is smart enough to do this all automatically, and it's super nice. But if my syntax is wrong on the save or something like that, it won't necessarily. So we can see that we added DSE driver right there. I am just going to add it myself. Oh, nope, there it is. Just took it a lot longer than it should. So I'll let that reindex. I don't like to touch it when it's doing its reindexing because my Mac is a little bit finicky about that. But now we have DSE driver. So if we go back here and we check this out. So just before we do this import statement, just to make sure that we did the correct thing previously, it's still going to complain on this. But I believe if we check our errors, it also complained on. It did not actually. That's interesting. Okay, so it hit that error and it just started screaming. Okay, so we will have to use the import statement to actually test this because we're dealing with two errors. All right, so from DSE driver. That should be right. Let me just check syntax because it is flagging me on one thing there. String literal expected. Okay. 1 second. Oh, yep. Of course. I am doing that wrong. There we go. All right, so import client and auth. Now that as Cassandra types, I don't think we want to do that here. Just let me check one thing. I'm going to find Cassandra types. Okay, so Cassandra types, consistency, local core. So that is actually used. I'm not sure how we're going to use that, but just to make sure we got rid of that first error before we dive in and try to troubleshoot that, we are going to do a npm run dev. This is going to spit back an error, but that's expected. That's fine. Should give it a second here. And is it not going to spit back an error? Did we just solve all our problems? That would be incredible. Although this right here should be unresolved. Yeah, this is unresolved. So it actually built, which I'm slightly shocked at. But if we actually go and try to run anything against this,
it's JavaScript. JavaScript will build in all sorts of bad broken states. So
yeah, well, that is sadly very true.
Yeah.
It could have broken, and then we could have maybe troubleshot another error and gotten the whole thing working. But now we have to try and figure out what the error we should have gotten is so we can troubleshoot.
Yep. Sounds par for the course.
Pretty typical. So what this is going to be is basically a type, this as types, or types as Cassandra types. I do not know the ES6 syntax for that. Do you happen to have access to that, Adrian?
What do you mean, the ES6 style syntax?
Yes, for the import.
Oh no, let me.
Types as.
I'm gonna pull it up. I'll pull it up.
Okay, yeah, because that right there, I'm gonna actually, while you're doing that, I'm gonna convert some of the rest of this to ES6 style stuff because it needs to be anyway. Like I said, that's kind of one of the things we're doing here.
So what part of it are you looking for? Just the
types as. I don't know how to import something with the as word using ES6.
Import blah as something like a module.
Yeah.
Import multiple exports from module. Import and export with more convenient alias. Yeah, here you go. Here's all the good bits.
Okay.
Bloop. deposited in your Slack.
Perfect. I will look at that in 1 second after I get this done. See, this is the lovely part of refactoring where it's more about beautification for that, to be honest, and consistency, but those are two things I really enjoy. Consistency is a good thing.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, consistency is important.
Looking in Slack here. So what do we have? All right. Import statements, type equals module. Interesting. So let's see if they show us an example. Import as name from module name. As name. So that would be as Cassandra types from module name. So this right here, if I'm correct, should be what we're looking for. Paste that in here. Let's import, copy this over that guy from DST driver and oh, come on. All right, star we don't want. Should just be as Cassandra types. What did I do wrong there? I did something wrong there. Port export as alias. Export to as alias. Interesting. So when it's doing this, are they going client off types? Types as Cassandra types. I see. Okay, I totally type as Cassandra. Oops. Cassandra types. Now, interesting to note, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I do believe I could just use types instead of Cassandra types here, and it should work pretty much flawlessly. Like that really shouldn't be an issue. That said, it's probably not what I want to do, just for the sake of following the original code as much as possible. So this, in theory, should work. And we're going to check if this builds. Even though we know the broken version builds, we're going to check if this builds, and then we're going to actually probably try to run some sort of a select something, just to see how it goes. Okay, so it built. Okay, this is progress. This is good progress. This is well on our way towards our goal here. Although I just realized we only have 15 minutes left. All right.
But it is well on our way to our goal.
Oh, yeah.
Which could just take another hour and 15 minutes. We'll just have to do it in the next subsequent episode.
So what I'm actually going to do here, I want to go down to the point where it's initialized. Okay, there's connection, return promise. I am going to, because this is get Cassandra client async. I'm going to do a quick get Cassandra async. Try so return get async location DC password. All right, so we're actually going to have to pass it a couple things here, and those things, remember in the index.js when we did this whole thing, those things are here. Now, obviously, I'm just doing that to keep track of what I'm trying to recover, right? Key space name, replication, all that stuff, we actually should have seen back in this code here. Yeah, there it is. 3 tries, could not initialize key space. Hang on 1 second. Let's return, because we should have basically the same thing here. Yep, key space replication, DSC username, DSC password. So we go back here. Oops, second one, my bad. Oh no, I just That's the thing with Visual Studio Code. They have all these buttons in really weird places, and I accidentally click them way too often. And it really screws me over. Oh no. Okay, well, now I gotta find it manually. Unless I just totally nuked a piece of code without trying. Yep, I did. Yep, my bad. They have this little X here, and if you click it, it actually removes that instance. I've done that before, and it's a nightmare. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this. Now hang on, with retries. From utils promises. Is this okay? This is something that I probably don't know. There's probably a very simple, commonly understood programming explanation for. He did this, like we said before, with functional programming stuff. This utils promises, I think we actually do have in our project. Let's take a look here. Promises. Yep, promises.js. Here we go. This is all async code, though, right? I mean, that's max retries, delay seconds, error message. I mean, that's basically what this is.
I mean, it's by default. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I actually need to do then is I also am going to need to import with retries. It's actually going to look exactly like the old code. So I could probably just come here and grab this guy. Oops, my bad. Wrong multi-touch gesture. And here I go, Cassandra. I'm going to do new. Oh goodness, and this is where it gets a little confusing, because that guy right there, new Cassandra. So what am I missing? I think I'm trying to do blocking code and async code mashed together, and it's never a working thing.
Yeah, that can cause not happy things.
Yeah. So promises.js with retries. My retries are going to look like that. Make Cassandra async. Yes, yes, yes. I wonder if this might be something to look up here, honestly. If you have a second to do so. Because it's going to be new Cassandra. DB? What would be a proper naming convention for that? Cassandra.
Oh god, I was arguing with myself about this earlier. About
We should call it DB for now, just for our testing.
Names aren't just difficult; they're kind of a pain in the neck.
Oh, for sure.
Like
all right, now we have the problem of that's not valid, and I wouldn't expect this to be a valid syntax, honestly. But it does leave me with a question. That question is, what on earth do I do here? Trying to think. This gets back into some syntax stuff that I'm not super great with. So what we're doing is we're creating data sources, our gRPC. We want to create one we call Cassandra, and we want that Cassandra to have initialized pulling. You know, that actually brought up.
I don't know if you can do an equal right there.
Oh, you can't. I do that for my own mental to try and keep track of what I'm doing. There's a pseudo code in my code.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, because like the new get service client async is just going to return one of those pseudo JavaScript objects to gRPC API.
Right, because this essentially is a return statement that pumps into this. What would you even call it? Like an alias or this variable, basically.
Well,
right?
it's a property. It's like a property on the object.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So in theory, this should actually potentially work.
Sure should.
All right, let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. If we get errors, again, errors are a good thing. I like errors.
I forget
Tell me what I need to fix. All right, so server ready at, wow.
What's the difference between new and just calling the function to return a value or return a value property? Like, so with gRPC API, for example, it says new thing function. It's like a constructor almost. But it's not a constructor. That's the thing. JavaScript doesn't have real constructors. It's a fake thing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think, like, what exactly...
We're essentially trying to do the same thing, aren't we? I mean, we're trying to basically create an object that will be used for other things. And we're saying...
Right, so it's going to... But the constructor is actually going to return an object, is the thing. So it's written like it's a constructor, but it's not really a constructor. It's literally a function that's being called that's returning a prototyped object, right? Yeah. But it's written like it's a Java constructor or a C# constructor or a C++ constructor or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what exactly new does in that context versus, say, why not just write a function on the object that returns the object?
I'd say look that up. I'm curious now too. While I test this, if you wanted to look that up, that'd be totally...
I mean, as far as readability concerns, I like it this way. It makes sense. The property is going to be an instantiation of this new prototyped object. But from a underpinning of like how JavaScript works, it's sort of weird.
Right. I understand. It's not what you'd expect.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, I'm mainly wondering too, is it giving us something different? Right?
Right. Yeah. I'm honestly not sure on that one.
Yeah, me neither. It's all right. We'll figure it out later.
So now I got to figure out, and I had this all conceptualized in my head at one point, how to exactly test this statement once I got to this point. And what I wanted to do is, I think it was a system auth. Oh, you know what? I actually have here something to look at. To get, yeah, okay. So I was just gonna run a simple, yes, here it is. Simple select that will work against any Cassandra database, whether or not it has data in it. This table exists. It's a system table. It's always there, right?
Right.
That statement is going to be this guy right here. Now, obviously, I'm only console logging it here, and this is just to test a theory, or not a theory. I'm trying to remember exactly where I need to put it on this page to get it to run, and I just want to try seeing if it shows up here. It probably won't. I think I actually have to wrap it in. No, it did. Okay, cool. That makes this easy. So now what we need to do is we need to take, let's see, server listens on the URL, server. Okay, I am going to need some help here, but what I'm conceptually trying to do is I'm trying to take that Cassandra endpoint that we just created, and I'm trying to actually run something against that. And as you saw in the Cassandra code, our driver is set up, like we're ready to take arguments, right? We can do that. The connection's there, driver's been initialized, like we've authenticated in, we're good to go. Now we need to actually run a query, right? So I just want to run a test query here, and it's literally this test query, which would be a simple statement, something, which we probably actually need to import, I would assume, would it be DSE driver into this if we actually want to run that from here, just as a test. So I can come over here.
Yeah. Wait, what file are we in? Oh, were we in promises?
I'm jumping between Cassandra.js and the source.
Okay.
So I'm being kind of bad here, and I'm running a whole bunch of tests in my index.js. But it's just to kind of get us off the ground, and we can get something a little more solid once we get this component work.
You got to run stuff where it is sometimes.
Right.
Got to keep that scope under control.
Exactly, and that's exactly the concern here. Okay, so DSE driver. Let's go look up the DSE driver. So DSE Node.js driver. Now let's find some documentation on this. So that should tell us real quick. Hey, look, there's the driver home. It's an old, no, it's the current version. Okay, so npm install. Here we go. So query, client executes. Do log. Okay, that's
Wait, hold on.
super
Query,
simple.
Then what is someone in that case?
Someone right here.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Oh yeah, that's going to be the bound value. So this
Oh yeah,
this
yeah,
question mark right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
got
where
you.
key equals someone.
I totally spaced and missed the question mark. I was like, why is it injecting
Okay.
thing without parameters? So that makes
So
sense.
the thing here that I'm confused on. This is the part. Like I understand how this statement works right here. That's pretty easy. I understand how this works. We've got that already done, right?
Yeah.
It's this part. So we actually are doing this, and I can show you where. In our Cassandra.
What part's confusing you?
Sorry. Where they're actually creating the connection here, right?
Right.
They're specifying contact points. They're specifying data center name, like all that. And we are doing that, and we are doing that right here. Right.
Yeah.
Key space name, DSC user. We go down here. It's all happening, and we just looked at that code. We just went through that code kind of line by line. So that part's happening now. To reference that, and maybe we can actually reference the other project to see how they did it. But obviously, we are doing it a little differently. I think we've already established that. I basically want to run this in our index here. Just literally, just kind of throw that in there and call it good. In order to do that, though, I'm actually going to have to using old syntax of this. Yeah, what's up?
I'm still confused about what you're confused about, actually.
Okay, well you'll see in a second. I'll illustrate it.
Okay.
It's one of those noob programming things that I should probably know, but because I'm self-taught and don't really know a lot of things I should.
Oh, that's an excuse. I see people with doctorate degrees all the time. They don't know what they're looking for half the time either.
Yeah, well.
So.
All right. So what we're doing here, we're setting up our query, and this is the way the Node.js driver works.
Yeah.
Actually, if you use the Java driver is super similar to this in just how it feels and functions.
Same thing with C# and GoSQL too. It's the same.
It's pretty much the standard.
Construction. Right. It's the standard for the Cassandra driver and DSE drivers. It's not the standard for all drivers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. So what we're going to do, like I said, I have that predefined table that I know we can
get stuff
pull.
From. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll get nothing from it, but we'll get nothing in a very obvious way.
Right. Get nothing and not big exception error messages.
Exactly. So we're going to do client execute our query, which is that right there. Pretty straightforward. Then console log, we're going to do, let's just say success, rows result, and that should be nothing. That should be empty. We'll just see success there. We should be happy. If we do see something there, maybe we have something else to talk about, but it should be.
Yeah. All of a sudden, we have results.
Right.
An empty table. What?
That's not good. Yeah. Okay. So, with all of that in mind, this is the part I don't get. So right here, we've created our server object, right? We have server. We've created our data sources. We've done something to initialize a connection to Cassandra. So our connection should be floating out there somewhere. How do I reference that? Because I need to actually go, client here is not some magical keyword.
What do you mean reference our connection out there?
So you know how in the Java driver, you have your, my brain just totally blanked. You have your builder, and then you have your session, right?
Right.
Your builder creates your session. Your session sits there and That's what you use in your query. Like I would use.
You mean your query session versus your connection session?
So they're called different things in the Java driver. Yeah.
Right. So what's the connection
actually
called?
means query session, but the builder would be the other. That's actually changing in the new Java driver too.
Fun.
So yeah, try keeping it all straight. It's fantastic. So in the Node.js driver, I need to reference that session right where it says client. That needs to be whatever my query session is, right there. And so it's basically session.execute, and then my query, right?
Right. So where is it?
In the simplest form, right? That's my problem. In a nutshell.
And why don't you make a new one right here to test with?
Yeah, I can do that. That's not hard at all. And actually, we have most of what we need to do that. I don't happen to know the DSC username, DSC password string. That's going to be a problem, but we could test against something else.
Can't you debug through that and just get it? Like, where is it picking it up from?
Yeah, I can do that here, actually. Let me write some code. 1 second. Whoops.
I'll let you write some code. I give you permission.
Appreciate it.
Sorry, I like to pedantically pick on English.
Yeah, I know.
It's a fun language.
Okay, so console log that. We're going to console log our DSC password. And in theory, when I stop this, run it, it should spit them out. So we'll give it a second. It's going to actually scream because it doesn't have the client, or it should scream because, yeah, it doesn't have the client specified, but it should have hit that before client is not defined. Yep, there it goes. Oh, now I'm going to have to comment that out for this to actually work. Let's comment that. And do that again. There's a slight delay between editing something and it updating.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, don't do that to me. Oh.
What happened?
We got no console log output.
Nice.
Which potentially could mean there's actually not a value.
Well, also it should still put spaces in though. You might want to do logger info and look at wherever the logger is writing to.
Explain.
Console log might be being swallowed because of the threading. So you'd want to just do logger info and then look like wherever that is, because that's probably piping it out to a range of things like a log file, maybe the console itself.
Oh, hang on. You know what? I just buried it in a place where we'd never see it too.
Yeah, that also being my premise.
Okay. Give me a second. I'll fix this.
Yeah, no worries.
Console log. I do that all the time where it's like, I'm not getting any output. I'm not getting. Oh, wait a second.
Same thing. And then you sit there and stare at it like somehow that's going to fix it.
Right. I have probably wasted days upon days of time with that sort of a thing. Okay. Console log, server ready. Dish says server ready. Did I still bury it? Okay. So walk me through this. Logger info. What does that do, and how do I use it?
Well, I assume it's a logger of some sort. Not that I know much more about it than you do. But
okay. So
with
how would
that
I
assumption, I would assume that you can do logger.info. Whatever you pass it, it's writing it to wherever the pipes or whatever they're calling it are writing the logger out to. So I'm curious how and where the logger is set up in the application.
Let's try this. See what happens.
Like you could probably right click on logger and say go to definition or go to declaration.
Go to declaration. In logging.js, imagine that.
Oh, transports. That's what they're calling it. So it's writing it to some core transports console. So the question now is, what's core transports? So maybe even do a right click and go to definition on that. And what do we got? Oh, we got a bunch of... Oh, it's Winston logging. So... Gracious, they got all sorts of settings in this crap. So where is... Holy moly bananas. Logger, .container.logger, .transport. So there the Winston logger is... Okay, it's just calling to require the Winston logger. I don't know, scroll down some and see what else they got set in here. Oh, there's default logger, and the transport is set to winston.transports.console. It seems like it should
be going to console.
Yeah, it should be printing it to the console.
Huh. All right.
I keep double quoting it, but should be presenting it to console. I don't know if it's doing that,
a potential other explanation here too. What if somehow we're actually not ever running that? Because we are technically inside of... Oh, no. We haven't then. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. No, that could be too.
Lookup service async finds nothing. We should be getting an error message because of the way lookup service async works.
Yeah.
Did we get a message? Oh, hang on. I saw this and oh yes. Okay, so the error earlier. Surface async, Cassandra. We are probably not finding that. Now, I'm going to trace this back real quick. I need to find the come on. Hitting the right button. Oh, right. I need to find the secret address that's actually kind of hard-coded in here. Service async.
The secret address?
Yeah.
What's the secret address? Like the for the Docker container? I can't talk. Or the container of the server side or whatever?
etcd. Yeah, it's our etcd
okay.
dealio. So service name. So in etcd.js. Okay.
I got to do this horrible thing. I have to leave everybody in suspense because we need to determine what our next date is so we can continue at that time and relieve everyone's suspense.
So I can't hit enter here? That's what you're saying? I have to...
You cannot hit enter. You have to wait.
Ooh, bummer.
So when is our next session? Let me
pull up. Next week.
Is it next week? Is it really? I'm going to pull up Twitch, and I'm going to put it on the screen for us. So if you watch this stream in like 20 seconds, you'll see it too. But if I pull this up and then go to our channel here, DataStax Devs, and then click on events. Currently, we don't have anything on the schedule. So when would be the next time that we're going to have something on the schedule?
Well, let's check the calendar here and see what the calendar wants to tell us. We don't have anything on the calendar either. That's a problem. Probably Monday, wouldn't it?
Monday. So let's get that on the calendar then.
Yeah, Monday, Thursday was what we had originally.
Yeah, so...
I'm going to edit our event here. I am going to set a repeat for it.
What are you setting it in?
I'm using Google Calendar.
Oh, it's not even relevant to the world. I am setting it on the Twitch stream. So let's hear Killrvideo.
I live by my Google Calendar. So. Where's the repeat on this thing? Did they get rid of repeat? No.
No, that's impossible. You can't get rid of that.
Or is this... Oh, this is your meeting, so it won't let me...
Haha!
Not going to let me click the buttons. That's why.
So it's protected.
Yes.
All right. We're now on the calendar. So if I hit refresh, everyone can see that. So the next session, the next Killrvideo front-end coding session with Eric who's been doing all the hard work, and me, who's been the snarky commentator, will be next week on Monday, the 15th, at 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. PDT, which is what time for you, Eric?
It's 5 to 6.
Oh, I feel almost bad.
It's fine.
5 to 6. Fine. Hey, but at least on the people on the East Coast can watch after work hours then.
After
so they
work,
don't have to like get all interrupted by an awesome Twitch episode. So hopefully everybody can check us out then. So 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. PDT. In the meantime, enjoy this wonderful outro.